Hi everyone, I'm Chef Susie with Escoffier Online, and this morning we're going to be exploring the ladyfinger cookie. It's a super delicate cookie, oftentimes used in many desserts in the pastry kitchen. The ladyfinger cookie lends its name to its shape, and typically in the shape of a finger or even an oval. And the cake has a very spongy texture, and it's not leavened with any sort of chemical leaveners. The eggs being whipped is what makes it light and fluffy and airy. So knowing all that, let's get started. So we're going to be whipping our egg whites and our egg yolks separately. So let's start that right now. I went ahead and whipped the egg whites before we started to save a little bit of time. So I've got my egg yolks and my vanilla. And we're just going to be whipping this until it becomes lighter in color. You're going to see the airiness. I'm turning that on kind of a medium-high speed, so we're going to let that go for a couple of minutes. And please let me know if you have any questions on the ladyfingers. Super easy to make. We're whipping our eggs separate, then we're going to be folding in our bread flour and cornstarch mixture, and then we'll be piping out the ladyfinger. And the ladyfinger originated in Italy, but it's used all over the world, and it's sometimes referred to as the sponge biscuit or the Naples biscuit. And the ladyfinger is a classic element in the tiramisu dessert, as well as the Charlotte dessert, which is super beautiful and elegant. And next week, we're going to be using the ladyfingers that we're making today in the Charlotte dessert. So make sure that you tune in next week too. This is the foundation. And the ladyfingers, they're not only nice to use in your desserts, but you can eat them just plain too. And a lot of times children will eat them when they're teething because they're firm to hold and they have a little bit of a crunchy texture. So keep that in mind too. Let's check our egg yolks. Okay, so we're going to let these get nice and light. They're going to have some air in them. Like I said, there's no chemical leaveners, so we're relying on the air whipped into the eggs to make the ladyfinger have a nice spongy texture. So I whipped my egg whites to a nice firm peak with the sugar ahead of time. I've got them ready to go. And then we're just going to be putting the egg yolks in. We're going to mix this until there's just a little bit of streaking, and then we're going to fold in our dry ingredients. Remember, we put air in, so we're going to be careful not to mix any of the air out. Folding is much different than mixing. Gently, and take your time with your folding. All good things happen in time. And please let me know if you have any questions on anything. So our egg yolks are just about ready. We can see that they're getting very light in color. That means there's enough air incorporated in them. We're just going to let them go a little bit longer. And please keep in mind that you can reach me on the 877 number if your questions aren't answered today, or you can email me. The 877 number is 877-452-5489, and you can reach me by pressing option number 2. Okay, so our egg yolks look great. They're nice and aerated. They've gotten a little bit thicker, and we only have the vanilla in here. And keep in mind too, you can add a different extract for a different flavor. We talked about these variations a lot. You could add a little bit of orange, or perhaps a little bit of lemon or almond, or even some coconut. So kind of have fun with your flavors too. Okay, so let's go ahead and fold this egg yolk mixture into our egg whites that I whipped ahead of time with some granulated sugar. And remember, we're folding, we're not mixing, which means gentle, not to fold any of the air out. So like I said, all good things take time. So take your time with your folding. Okay, so I'm going from the bottom up with my spatula. These are great to use because of the surface area. It helps with the mixing. Try not to use anything too small when you're folding, because you'll make a lot more progress with something like this. So we're just going to be folding this until there's just a little bit of streaking. That means it's almost mixed together. And then we'll go ahead and add our dry ingredients. So the key to the ladyfinger is don't deflate your batter. Because like I said, there's no chemical leavener in this, so you're relying on the air that you're putting into the eggs to make your ladyfingers spongy. Okay, and do we have any questions on anything so far? So I've got a little bit of streaking in here, you see this. I have my cornstarch and my bread flour that I sifted, and I'm just going to be folding this in. I'm going to do just part of the dry mixture, and we'll kind of get it going, and then we'll add the rest. And please let me know if you have any questions. Keep in mind your batter should be nice and airy like this. It should be thick and holding its shape because we're going to be piping these ovals or the fingers. So this is a nice cookie to just eat plain or even add to any of your desserts. And be creative too. Not only using it for the charlotte or the tiramisu, you can use it in different ways too. You can layer it into cakes. You can soak it with a little bit of espresso with amaretto or even a little bit of flavored simple syrup, and that'll help soften it for cutting and give it some extra flavor too. Okay, so the rest of the dry ingredients are going in, and we do have a question.
Did you say you used castor sugar?
Hmm?
Did you say that you used castor sugar?
Did I use?
Castor sugar?
Oh, the question is did I use castor sugar? I just used regular granulated sugar in this recipe. Okay, so our egg mixture is just about ready, incorporated with our dry ingredients. We're just going to mix this to make sure we don't have any pockets of any of these dry ingredients. And like I said, folding, all good things take time, so take your time on your folding. Definitely would not want to put your flour on the mixer. You've got to do this by hand, otherwise you're going to deflate this and it's not going to turn out for you. We did talk about the ladyfingers having the classic oval shape. I have seen them before piped round too. So kind of have fun exploring your cookies. Okay, so it looks like all of our dry ingredients are well folded in. So we're going to go ahead and do our piping. And do we have any questions on anything so far? Okay. All right. So for our piping, we're just going to use a plain round tip. You can even use a disposable plastic bag and just cut off the end if you don't have a round tip. So keep those little things in mind. Some people too also use the small plastic white coupler from their small kit with their little tips. You can use that for piping something like this too. So keep that in mind. The mixture is kind of thick, so I'm just going to make a collar on my bag, and I can just put it in and it's not going to leak out at all. And if your mixture does not have this thickness, you definitely didn't have enough air in, or you possibly stirred some of the air out. So let's go ahead and pipe some of these oval-shaped ladyfinger cookies. You can use a soap pat like I have, or you can even do this on parchment. And please let me know if you have any questions. You're going to pipe these about 4 inches long. You can make them smaller or larger if you like, but this is the classic size and shape. So as you can see, these are holding their shape. They're going to be nice and spongy when they come out of the oven. So these are super easy to make. They're a foundation and an element in so many desserts, and they're great by themselves. You can even dip them in some chocolate or even drizzle some chocolate on them. Okay, so the next step in making the cookie is you're going to want to dust this with powdered sugar, and this is going to give the cookie its nice crispness. So what you'll do is you'll kind of go over this with some powdered sugar. And you're going to leave this set for just maybe a minute. Let that powdered sugar absorb in, and then you're going to go over this again. You're going to bake these on a high heat at 400 degrees for about 9 to 11 minutes. Keep an eye on them. They're just going to get a little bit browned, and you can tell if they're done by pressing them and see if they spring back, and that means they have the nice spongy texture. So let's go ahead and give these another round of the powdered sugar. And then they'll be ready to go in the oven. Okay, so once these are baked, they're easy to move around and pick up. So let's go ahead and take a look at some cookies that I baked earlier, okay? Okay, so this is the classic ladyfinger cookie when it's finished. It held its shape really well. It's going to puff up a little bit. If you have deflating, that means the cookie needs to bake just a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and look at the inside of the cookie. So it's going to break open. It's a little bit soft, and it's nice and spongy and airy on the inside. You can dry these out, and what's going to be nice about that for example, for your tiramisu, you'll be able to soak the cookies in some espresso, or even some espresso with a little bit of amaretto or perhaps some sambuca. And the drier cookie is going to absorb more liquid and more flavor. So keep that in mind. So these are great. You'll have fun exploring the ladyfinger cookies. And do we have any questions on anything before we say our goodbyes? Okay, great. So this is the ladyfinger cookie for today. And please join us next week, and we're going to be making the classic Charlotte dessert with the ladyfinger cookie. And thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.